So, I'm going to talk a little bit about building a shop, metal buildings. You want to go prefab or do you want a weld up kit? Some of the pros and cons of that. This is my journey. I'm currently building a shop right now. Having it built, not personally doing it. But, it was a frustrating ordeal there in the beginning trying to figure out, which way to go. There's so many companies out there that offer these prefab kits you can buy, and every one of them will tell you something why theirs is the best, and they got certifications and all that mess. And I didn't really get off in the weeds with that. For me, it was just finding the best bang for your buck. And what I wanted was a 30 by 50 shop. And that was it. That's how it started. Just gonna have a 30 by 50 shop, something I can put a lift in so I can work on my stuff and not have to get down on the ground anymore. So done with that, man. But it's a competitive industry. And as evidence of that, all you got to do is go on Google and grab you some phone numbers and make a half a dozen or so phone calls. Tell them what you're looking for, see what they got to offer, and then do nothing. And by the end of the month, they'll be calling you back, telling you how some deal fell through somewhere for whatever reason, hurricane or tons of rain up in the central part of the U.S. or anything. And they had a guy had bought a building and now he can't use it, and we'll sell it to you for cheap. And they all just seem to kind of do that. What I did initially was picked out a prefab building bolt-up kit. It was actually from Rhino Buildings. I think it was going to be $18,000, and then I got guys to give me a quote for building the pad. That was like $11,000, and then I was under no illusions about who was going to put this thing together, because I wasn't doing it. Don't have time for that. Don't want to do it. Not motivated to do it. Wasn't going to fool myself into thinking that it was a project I was going to take on. I wanted this thing done and finished. So I got a quote to have it built, assembled, and the total price for it all was going to be around $41,000, I think. And then I remember my neighbor down the road was having a building built, and I called him, asked him that guy's name, and whether how his building was going. I went over and looked at the building, and I liked it. It was all big, heavy red iron, all I-beam construction, welded together. And so I called the guy, and he said, "Yeah, one-stop shop here, man. I do it all. I do the concrete. We don't outsource anything. No contractors doing this, that, and the other. He does it all. It's a one-man show. Got his little crew." And the quote for 30 by 50 from him, it was stronger material, and just seemed like a better way to go, was $43,000. And one of the reasons why I think it's a better way to go is because I kind of feel like the more people you have in the mix, well, I just turn those into variables. You got more variables at play, therefore you have more opportunity for something to go south. Doesn't mean it's going to go south, but your risk goes up. I always try to minimize risk in everything that I do. It's just the way I operate. So I'm a risk-averse kind of guy. So, and not that money's not a factor, but the money wasn't that different. And you were getting a better quality building, in my opinion. So I went that route. uh, one of the things I learned was that because Kyle, his name is Kyle Chaney, the guy who's building my shop, Kyle Chaney, the name of his company, and I want to mention it because I am so impressed with the guy. It's KC Welding. Now we're here in Texas. I live south of Dallas, and I think he lives down in Hillsboro. So, you know, if you're watching this video and that happens to be in your wheelhouse and you're wanting to build a shop, I cannot stress enough how pleased I think you would be if you called him. So one of the things I learned is that when you get a prefab building, sometimes the I-beams that come with that building, if it's a prefab building that has what they say is I-beams, they actually manufacture those I-beams. They didn't purchase the I-beam. They have a machine that they run metal through that welds the whole thing together into an I-beam. I mean, why would they do that? You got to be cutting a corner, right? You wouldn't do all that if it wasn't cheaper somehow. And, you know, I mean, I believe in calculating the cost of things and, you know, being responsible, but I also believe sometimes you really do just get what you pay for. Another thing is the concrete pad. I mean, you're gonna have day laborers come out here and build you a concrete pad. They just slam the forms together as quick as they can. They use nails. They don't use sometimes enough bracing, and so when you pull the forms off, your concrete might look like it's swollen or has a bulge in an area, and that's because of the lack of bracing or the fact they use nails that actually pull out. And then it may not actually be perfectly the perfect dimension to fit your prefabricated building that was engineered to fit a specific size pad. So there's an anomaly there that'll have to be addressed. I mean, when you got a guy coming out who's doing the whole thing from start to finish, he has an incentive to ensure that the pad is perfect for the building he's building. And because it's a weld-up building, if for some reason there is an imperfection, he can address that somewhere along the way. I personally feel, at least for me, that the way to go, well, I don't even want to say that. I don't want to say the way to go is a weld-up building. That would be the wrong statement. That can't apply to everybody. I mean, prefab buildings aren't out here, to my knowledge, falling down all over the country, so it must be doing something right. But I guess what makes me so happy about this guy and what we're doing here is that I've watched him pay such attention to detail all along the way, and I never expected that. I went with him because it was one guy doing it all, and it was what I thought was a stronger building for only a couple $1,000s more. It just seemed like the way to go. But the surprise that I'm happy about is how I've watched him do everything. I mean, I never even thought about it, but when he laid out the building on the property, he went up to the house and measured the house because he wanted to make sure that the building was square with the house. He said, if I ever look on Google Maps one day and see that it's crooked, and he said, I'm going to be pissed. I thought, well, that's pretty impressive. I'm pretty sure I would have never known that it wasn't square with the house, and also I'm pretty sure I don't really care. I mean, how far off could it be, right? So he did that. The concrete, when he made the forms, he put them all together with decking screws so that nothing can move. Nails can't, the screws aren't going to pull out. The bracing that he has done, and you'll see pictures, I'll post them later, the bracing that he has done for the forms, it was, I don't know that I would say overkill, but it certainly, you wouldn't never argue that it was minimal. So it was definitely adequate. You know, to a layman, I'm no concrete guy, but when I looked at it, I saw quality. And so it's kind of been my journey. My 30 by 50 shop turned with 12-foot walls, turned into a 30 by 50 shop with 14-foot walls. Added an 8 by 20-foot patio on one side, and I added a 50-foot long camper cover on the backside. And I added an apartment inside the building. It just sort of evolved. I never started out with the thought process of, I want to build a 30 by 50 shop and this is the way I want it. That's not what happened. They start building the shop and I start adding stuff to it. And it's not built yet, but I'm really excited about it. I wasn't even excited before. I was just doing it because I felt like it was time. I'd been threatening to do it for years, and I'm getting tired of getting down on the ground and then having to get back up to get another tool, and I'm just tired of all that. And so I decided I needed a lift, and so I need a shop. One of the reasons why I had abstained from building a shop was because I wasn't sure that someday I wouldn't move. But I've decided that I'm going to stay here, and so we're building a shop. I'll post pictures of the drawings and, of course, progress as it all unfolds. But right now, all I have is a concrete pad. They're currently out there taking the forms down. They poured the concrete on Monday. Today is Thursday. So this coming Monday, so in a few days, they're going to come back and start erecting the building. And it should go pretty quick after that. But my 30 by 50 shop turned into a 30 by 50 shop with a camper cover, a patio. The apartment that's going inside is actually elevated off of the floor 7 feet. So we went up 7 feet tall, and we're going to close it in. And it's going to be 15 by 30. So we just come in 15 feet off the back end of the building. The building's 30 by 50, so 30 feet across, so 15 by 30, and 7 feet off the ground. And that's the apartment. That way I don't lose any floor space in my shop. I'm only 6 feet tall. I can walk underneath that. I can park my mowers underneath that. I can park my side-by-side underneath there. To me, I'm getting a lot of bang for the buck. It basically went from, well, I don't have the paper in here. I think we're at 53,000 now. I think that's a lot. I think that's a lot of stuff. We went from 43,000 and I added a lot of stuff. He's doing all the work. He's closing in the apartment, building the staircase to go to it, and a porch and a door. I got a 12 by 12 roll-up door on the front end. That's where, when you enter, you'll enter to a 4-post lift. I got a walk-through door on the side where the patio is at, 2 windows, then a 10 by 10 roll-up door on the side, so you have another point of entry. And I got 2 windows looking down into the shop from the apartment, and 2 windows on the back side of the apartment looking outside. I don't know. I'm content with the price, and I'm content with what we're doing here. I guess, you could spend a whole lot of time maybe searching around, trying to save a buck here and there. The juice ain't worth the squeeze, in my opinion. It just ain't worth it. So anyway, I'll keep you posted. I'll add some pictures of the drawings and some commentary on those as we go. And of course, as the building gets erected and comes to completion, I will post videos of that too. And I may even get a video with Kyle. We may have a little conversation about things. I don't know what things. We'll see. Uh, but if he's here today, if he comes by, he's supposed to come by today. If he doesn't make it today, he'll definitely be here on Monday, and I will too. All right, later. So here is a drawing showing the front of the building. The patio is on the right. It's 8 foot out, and the camper cover is on the left. It's 14 feet. This is a side view of the building. The patio is on the left. Got the 2 windows and the walk door. Then you have your 10 by 10 roll-up door. The apartment is in the back half where the other walk-through door is at. However, I removed that walk door and used it for the apartment. The apartment was an afterthought. These are just some computer rendered drawings of the building. Sort of gives a rough idea of what the building is like. The patio was another afterthought, so it's not pictured here. This is a sample picture of the stairs. They're going to actually go in the building up to the apartment. It's not stairs that I have. These were pictures that he sent me of a sampling. But that's what they're going to look like. There will be railing, and we'll go up to a little porch, like a 4x6 landing, really. Pictured here are the forms waiting for concrete. Some conduit laying there, which we installed in the concrete to help making your electrical wire runs a little more simplistic. Rather than going around the perimeter of the building to get to the other side, we can just shove it through the conduit. Pictures of the concrete poured. The posts are planted for the camper cover. They are currently removing the forms today as we speak, so there will be more, so stay tuned.